I'm Whitney and this is Kevin, and welcome to the Heart and Home channel.
Where we are rejecting what is normal and pursuing a life of freedom. And if you're into that, then please consider hitting that subscribe button, as we have a lot of great content coming up in the future. But I think we've got a really good one today. This is one of the most asked questions that we've had on YouTube and pretty much all of our social media presence so far, I think.
100%.
And that is, as you see in the title,
How are you affording this?
yeah, how do you afford to quit your job? Or for us, I've quit the main source of income for our family to build full time.
Okay, so before we get started, we want to just start off by saying that this is not like a get-rich-quick scheme. There's nothing fancy about this, and you honestly might not even like what we have to say.
Yeah, you might not. And we aren't financial advisors, so you're going to need to research this stuff on your own and figure out what's right for you. Don't necessarily listen to us. We're just weirdos building a barndo out in the woods. So
this is what has worked for our family. We're not saying that everybody needs to do these steps, because everybody's family is different, but this is what has worked for us, and this was what we are doing.
Yep. And plus a couple ideas that we didn't do that might help someone else along. There's a really simple equation that you have to go by, and that is just basically your living expenses and your building expenses just need to be less than the amount that you have.
And that's kind of well done.
yeah, and that's the well done. But for some reason, like whenever we tell people about that, they say, well, how are you doing it though? And they just can't get past that. And really what it comes down to is that this is going to take a long time, and it's going to be something that is simple, like we said, but it's going to be something that requires persistence, smarts, and discipline.
Yeah. It'll take longer than you think.
It's going to definitely take longer than you want it to. If your living expenses and your building project is going to cost more than what you have to change some stuff. It's just not going to work. There's no way around it.
And that might seem like a well duh again.
Yeah.
But
but this is just like, it's simple. It really is simple.
It's not easy.
It's simple, not easy. But you need to change what you're building, when you're building it, where you're building it, and possibly how you're building it as well. And we'll get into that stuff. This might seem like a dumb thing that we're saying right off the bat, but I do think that we actually have some good tips on what kind of levers you can pull to reduce your costs of living and up your income. So I think that this actually is going to be really valuable to people, even though it is simple.
So all that saying, we recommend planning on it to take longer and to be more expensive. So more money is always better.
Yeah.
Pad as much as you can.
Yeah. Everything you have, rounded up. It'll help your communication with your spouse if you pad all of your expenses as well. Definitely. When you're planning all that stuff. Yeah. Something I'm learning.
Okay, to me the biggest thing before you even start building is that you need to have all your ducks in a row. You need to know where every dollar is going. Your budgeting needs to be locked down. And so I would have that figured out before you even go into doing this. So when Kevin and I were pursuing this, we had our normal budget locked down, and then I came up with an idea of a bare bones budget, a bare bones building budget, what we needed basically just to survive on, and then I times that by however many months we thought we would be building, and that's what we had saved.
Yeah, basically just having financial discipline is going to be an essential key for you to be able to do this, because
if you don't know where your money's going every month, this is going to be difficult.
Yeah, maybe impossible.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to pop up our budget on the screen. Kevin will do that. And then this is the number that we came up with for our living expenses, what we needed while we were building.
Yep.
So before we get into the tips, we'll kind of just talk about our story just briefly so you understand where we're coming from. So our plan has basically taken 10 years to get here. Yeah. We didn't just wake up one morning and decide, hey, let's build a home debt-free. Yeah. It was a 10-year process of many good decisions. Were there some mistakes along the way? 100%.
And was there a little bit of like fortune? Like we were fortunate to have gotten in the real estate when we did, but don't write off your situation because of that.
Definitely.
There's more than one route to this.
Yes, there is. Our story has, like we just said, has taken about 10 years to get here. We bought our first property in 2012. It was a little townhome and just like a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It didn't need any work really. It was all really nice, but we bought it at a really good time.
Yeah, and when we first got married, one of the biggest things that put us on this path was getting Financial Peace University from Dave Ramsey, and that like totally united our brains on the same path financially and towards getting out of debt, and that just really catapulted us towards this goal. Because at the time we didn't know that we wanted to do this. I'd say we only started to get like pingings that we wanted to do this like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. So we started Financial Peace University after we bought this townhome. We started paying off all our debt. I had some credit cards and some student loans. When we got married, Kevin had like zero debt. So it was like all mine. So that took us like a little over a year.
In addition to that, I think that had we had this goal sooner, we could have achieved the goal in a quicker amount of time than 10 years.
Definitely. So after we sold the townhome, we bought our first fixer-upper, and Kevin still didn't really know how to do a lot of stuff. But over time, he learned and sold that, and then bought another fixer-upper that we lived in as well. So that's where most of our money has come from these real estate investments that we have seen something ugly and made it cute. And
build skills towards what we're doing now.
Yes, definitely. So that's where the majority of that has come from. But however, we were able to do that because we lived well below our means.
That meant a lot of saying no to people when, normally people would say yes.
That's not to say that we didn't have any fun. We definitely did, but we were very crafty with our money. We'll get into that a little bit more. We've always had like a little personal spending budget inside of our budget for both of us. But Kevin and I are very clever with our money and are able to like figure out ways to make our money go a little farther. So the first section we're going to talk about is lowering your expenses. Financing everything is extremely expensive. If you look at what you pay over time, it is crazy.
Yes.
And so you may be able to afford it monthly. However, when you look at the end of it, when it's paid off, you will have paid maybe double, maybe more than that.
3 times. It will make you feel like you're being robbed.
Yes. I always say you can like $10 and $20 yourself to death. Like, so don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Pay off your debt. That is our number one tip. One of the Dave Ramsey things that he says is that you should stop going out to eat. Like, you should not see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working in it. That's not to say you can't ever go have fun, but if you are door dashing every night, not a good spending of your money.
Yeah, just the prices alone for going there are going to be maybe 10 times the amount that it would cost to make it yourself.
Yeah.
And then if you add a DoorDash on top of that, that's probably double. So you're paying maybe 20 times as much for a meal.
And should you go out every once in a while? Yeah, but make sure it's in your budget. Don't do it every night.
And if you do go out to eat, go to Costco and buy discounted gift certificates.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've done, and it's worked great. So like we'll combine a discounted gift card
with
and
like
then
a coupon or like a deal they're running.
Yeah,
like
yes.
the Cold Stone ones they always have.
Yes, yeah.
We'll get that, and then you get rewards. So then we get free ones with our cheap ones.
Double. Yeah, do that.
We've been doing that for nearly 10 years. Yeah.
That's how we win.
Okay, so on topic with not going out to eat a bunch, the next is your food budget. Figuring out affordable meals is really important. There's so many tips on Pinterest, on YouTube, of recipes, and meal planning is essential. I'm going to be starting a little series called Frugal Fridays, where I post videos about how we save money for our household stuff, like groceries and all of that. So I'll have some more tips in there.
If you guys are interested in that, let us know down in the comments, and we'll be sure to, answer questions and all that stuff as we go in there.
I'm very passionate about it. So living below your means, one of the biggest things is to not keep up with the Joneses. And we talk about that all the time. And of course that seems like a well duh, but I can't tell you how many people feel like they need this new car.
Or they deserve it.
Or they deserve it. Or they need the latest phone. They work so hard. And if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. But you're not going to be able to have that and pursue freedom. Very unlikely. Maybe there's some people out there that can afford to do all of those things, but that is a very small percentage. If you are a normal American, you need to live well below your means. to pursue these things.
Even people in the NFL that are raking in, millions of dollars
They
go
go
bankrupt
broke.
because they don't have the discipline that's required.
Absolutely. So there would be times throughout our marriage where our income would go up significantly, but we never rose our cost.
Standard of living.
Yeah, our standard of living.
So our raising our standard of living actually was like, raising our allowance $25 per month.
25, maybe 50, depending on what was happening.
If things were going really well, we would add $50 to our allowance.
And of course, if there were things we wanted to do, we'd talk about it and we'd save up for it.
Yeah.
But it never was something that we would just go out on a whim and said, we deserve to do this. It would always be something that was planned and paid for and really thought out. I think that's really important.
Yep.
So we're not saying you can't have nice things. But Dave Ramsey also says, we don't want your nice things to get you. So, so it's okay to have some nice stuff, but plan for it and always think about your long-term goal. If your long-term goal looks anything like what we're doing right now, you really have to consider that in your everyday choices.
So one of the other things that you can do to save costs is buy and build with cash. As we mentioned before, financing is extremely expensive. And so if you get on your property and you're living on there quickly, then you're going to save yourself rent. And when you're not paying taxes for actually having a house, your land taxes are actually
Very low.
quite inexpensive. Yeah, very, very low. So that's probably the cheapest rent that you will be able to have. There's still the matter of like finding, an RV if you want to go that route. But, as we're doing, renovating an RV that is well used is not only going to help you acquire new skills that you're going to need for your build, but it's also something that you can do when you're in a house beforehand. You could probably park it in your driveway or something like that. So it's something that you might be able to do sooner than when you actually get your big goal of moving onto your property.
And some people even turn that into a business where they take campers and they flip them
Yep.
and then they sell them for profit.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Or even rent them. Like you can rent it out of your driveway.
Yeah.
So if that's like the first thing you do, you could do that and get a little bit of bonus money every camping season. So now that we've told you the main ways that we reduce our outgoing expenses, we're going to talk a little bit about how we increased our income. So one of the biggest things that you should be doing is monetizing your free time.
Especially if you don't have children.
Yes, especially if you don't have children.
I regret all the things that I did in my free time before children.
What I think that you should be doing, and what I wish I would have done sooner, was start with a side hustle of, something that would have improved my handyman skills. Whether that's flipping furniture or ideally it's like renovating your home, but obviously that's not a place that everyone can start on. You may even be able to do something, if you're renting, you might be able to work out a deal with your landlord where, hey, they need some like low skill stuff done to the apartment and you can exchange that with them for discount on your rent. Like for instance, a great one to do is to put in vinyl flooring. Like anybody can do that. So I would definitely talk with your landlord and see if there's anything that you can do.
I would say too, with picking up a side hustle, just find something that you enjoy, especially if it's your free time, regardless if you have children or not. Have it be something that you enjoy. So it's not just more yucky labor that you so something that I did is I enjoy thrifting, so I would resell. I would go to the thrift store and find nice things and then sell them online for a profit. And
AKA treasure hunting.
Yeah,
super fun.
It is really fun.
We even went to
the Goodwill outlet.
We went to the Goodwill outlet.
It's called the bins, where you just dig through piles of stuff.
It's
basically
aggressive.
Just garbage, but you're able to find really great stuff in there if you're not afraid of getting a little dirty.
And garage sale season.
I want to dumpster dive one day, but Kevin won't let me.
When we said we weren't afraid to break the norms, that we meant that.
I'm fascinated with finding treasure in unknown places.
Yes.
So doing something that you enjoy, unless you find something that's incredibly profitable that maybe you don't love, consider it.
At least have something different than what you do every day. If you're working a trade job, maybe doing things with tools isn't the best
Yeah.
to do. Something that feels different.
If
is
you're
probably
sitting at a desk, consider walking some dogs on the weekends.
Yeah.
Or there's so many ways
Yep.
you can make extra money.
Yep.
So the next thing is when you're at work, put in everything you have. Show up with a smile, on time. Do your work really hard.
Be passionate about what you do.
Be passionate. Love others. Get noticed.
Yeah. And make sure that you're at a company that there is some upward mobility so that you can maximize your profit while you have to be at work. And if you're in a place where there isn't really any opportunity like that, maybe it's time to consider a better avenue for you to get to this goal that you have. Or potentially it could be a really great idea for you to try and get a trade job. They pay well today because there is a ton of demand, and you'll be building the skills that you're going to need all along the way, especially if you're doing something like just about anything, honestly. Just about anything will help you, but I think especially electrician or like plumbing, something like that is going to save you a ton of money not having to hire other people and giving you some great experience all along the way. So for us, by far the best thing that we had going for us in terms of maximizing our income was buying a house that needed some TLC and flipping it. So I would go to work during the days and then come home and spend an hour or two every day for a while there, improving our home. And it's a really easy side hustle to do because everything is right there in your house. It's really easy to say like, hey, I've got 10 minutes. I can install this one little thing here and there. So I definitely would recommend anyone on this path to look into doing that. If you're in a home, if you already own your home and it's one that's nice and updated, maybe sell it. Sell it and move into a little bit of a dump.
Depending on how long you've had it and all those things.
If it's your first home fixing, I definitely recommend getting a home that is just outdated and not
a full gut job.
Don't get in over your head. Go light first. You'll be able to sell that off.
Just
and
some
then
paint and floors and light fixtures. That goes a long way. Yeah,
surface level stuff. That'll really be a great way to get your feet wet. And then you can decide where you want to go after that. Cannot recommend that path more highly in terms of a great way to prepare yourself for the stuff that you're going to be getting into.
Okay, so we're just going to talk a little bit about our budget and how we are affording to do this. So our expenses, like we mentioned, are quite low with all of our bills and insurances. It is about $2,000 a month. I work part-time, very little, but I bring in a little bit of income so that we don't have to dip into our savings as much. So I bring in about $1,200 a month. So we're in about an $800 deficit. So when we were looking at building, we thought, okay, it's gonna take 1.5 to 2 years. If we're in an $800 deficit, we figured out the math of what we would need to have saved for living expenses. This doesn't include emergencies. We also have an emergency fund on top of that.
Yes. And I feel like the question comes up a lot of times, like what kind of insurance do you go with for that? So what kind of insurance do we have?
Right now we have Christian Healthcare Ministries. So far it's been good for us. It doesn't help with a lot of preventative care, but it is great for emergency care. So we are quite healthy. We take good care of our bodies and our teeth and everything. So paying for preventative care out of pocket isn't quite expensive. So having our emergency costs more covered is helpful.
Yeah, and originally dental insurance was something that we decided to opt out of. Since then, we've actually found out that a lot of dental companies will have their own internal insurance, and so that could be something that you may want to look into as well.
We're still kind of figuring that out, though. The dental part is a little challenging for us, but to pay for cleanings out of pocket really isn't that much. It's just the dental work if you have cavities. So take good care of your teeth. Yeah.
The best insurance is just flossing
and brushing every day.
Yeah. So in summary, you have the equation. You need more money than your build is going to cost, plus living expenses during that time. And you're going to want to have a buffer in there. The build is going to take longer and cost more than you think it will, almost guaranteed. You're going to want to get out of debt and minimize your outgoing expenses as much as possible, and really just work on living beneath your means. If you really want to live the life where you can afford to leave your 9-to-5 job, then that's going to be a critical part of your journey to be able to afford to do something like that.
That's probably a good thing to practice while you're pursuing.
Yeah.
While you're waiting.
And then you're going to want to maximize your income by doing as good of a job as you can, and maybe getting a promotion at work, or possibly getting a new job that pays the same and will increase skills. And then also utilizing your free time to make income with side hustles and, again, increase skills and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that's about it. It's simple. It sure isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably going to have to do it for quite a long time. That's just the reality of it. There's other ways to do it that put you in a position of significant more risk. But this was the way that we felt was the most solid and right for us, and what we would feel comfortable recommending to other people.
Yeah, our whole philosophy is to mitigate risk.
Yeah, that's all, guys. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment down below. If you thought that this was useful or entertaining, please hit that thumbs up button, as it helps us a great deal. And like we said, if you aren't afraid to ditch the norms of society in pursuit of a life of freedom, then consider hitting that subscribe button, as we are going to have a ton of cool stuff coming in the future. I cannot wait to, get in our house, but all the projects that we have planned afterwards, and the sort of life strategies that we have, I'm really excited to share with everyone, and I think it's going to be a blast.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.